Yes, hello. I'm back again. So, GM, everyone. This is an exciting space for tonight. So, basically, we have a guest, which is basically OpenxAI. Uh, we've been talking about AI and decentralization, which is somehow like a buzzword, and it very correlates to what Base Philippines are doing. So, Base Philippines is putting regional aspect when it comes to creating builders community. So let's try to dive in if how OpenxAI could basically collaborate, expand this trajectory or actions that we could build builders community on a faster pace. So for tonight, we have our guests. So let's welcome our speaker for the Base Philippines AMA, Sir Aston, founder and architect of Open Mesh Network and OpenxAI. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Can you hear me?
Hi, everybody. I can
Hello,
hear
sir.
you. How
Yeah,
are
okay.
you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Thank you, sir, for having time joining us. It will be a great discussion and learning for the Filipino community, which is basically aligning with base.
Pleasure. Pleasure to connect with you guys. I think John and Sheila, they're our team members. They're in Philippines, so glad to connect with you. I heard you guys have some sort of a weather condition over there. Hope everything is good.
Yeah, definitely. It's somehow there's a current typhoon here in Luzon area, but basically I'm base regional lead for Mindanao. So Philippines is
Right.
somehow like divided into three archipelagos: Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao.
I see. I see.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. I
Okay.
hope everybody is happy and
Yeah,
safe. Yep.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So all right, let's kick things off. My first question is I would like if you could share a little bit of your journey, how you get started, and eventually brought you to OpenxAI.
Sure. I got into Web3 back in 2015. I was in the US. I was finishing with one of my biotech startup, and I moved to Sydney, Australia, and I came across Ethereum. I knew about Bitcoin, but I never used it. But I came across Ethereum 2015. So for me, it was a very, very interesting concept. The idea of a decentralized uh, supercomputer. That was the early narrative back in 2015 about Ethereum. So we're talking about Ethereum is like $20, right, back in the day. So I used to run meetups in Sydney and a small town called Wollongong. I used to run Bitcoin and Ethereum meetups. That helped me to basically understand the technology, but not only the technology, but the philosophy behind decentralization. Because when people come to me to my meetups, I have to explain to them, what is Ethereum and what is Bitcoin. So that's how I got into to Web3. 2016, 2017, I had uh, a research firm called Blockchain Partners Holdings. So that entity specialized in looking after more like ICO, like due diligence in ICOs. So one of the project came to our desk. It was Phantom. Now they rebranded as Sonic. So it was a very interesting project. Before Solana, it was one of the fastest blockchain. So I joined Phantom 2017, end of 2017 and beginning of 2018. I worked with Phantom for a while. That helped me to understand because Phantom was one of my first large scale project that I involved. So I was head of innovation and product. So building a large scale L1 chain and bringing that into go to market, that was a difficult thing. So worked with Phantom for a while, and I left late 2019, and then beginning of 2020. So then I started working with that. This is where I was looking at building something my own. So I started working on OpenMesh. So OpenMesh is a decentralized cloud. So we've been building for the last 4 to 5 years, and then OpenxAI is the first project on Open Mesh network. So that's my journey.
Wow, great. That's a bit long and amazing journey. I could basically still remember also Phantom FDM during the early days of DeFi when like Ethereum basically get congested and the industry needs some alternatives, and I think Phantom is one of uh, the chain that basically brought out to really address that issue during that time. So amazing that you're already in the industry on that level, sir. Now, I mean, when it comes to when you're already on OpenxAI, I mean, AI are really like part of. I think everyone can agree that it's really part of our daily lives for our work, everyday tasks. But lately, we've been hearing like
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
fresh narratives about around decentralization and permissionless AI. In the context of like OpenxAI, could you break down what this really means and why it matters for everyone?
Sure. Uh, so let's talk about AI as a technology, because I consider AI is one of the most advanced technology that I have, human have ever created. We had steam engines, we had rockets, we had printing press, we had lots of innovations and inventions, but I think AI is the by far the most advanced, right? No doubt about it. And also, it will be the most impactful thing that human have ever created. So if you take a step back and if you just look at AI industry, um, so it's concentrated across 4 to 5 different companies. So 4 to 5 large mega corporation control the entire AI space. So we're talking about talent, we talk about resources, we talk about products, we talk about AI services, AI narratives, AI future, AI policies, everything controlled by 4 to 5 companies. So people like general public like you and I, we cannot we don't have much say, to be honest. You cannot contact OpenAI, can say, hey, I don't like this feature for this ChatGPT, therefore I want you to change it. Or you cannot say the next version of ChatGPT should look like XYZ, right? There's a zero say for public over what they're doing. So that particular interaction between like small group of people control and decide what is good for society, that's called dictatorship, right? So we think we are living in a democratic society. This particular setup is not, it doesn't look like democracy, right? Not even close. So the challenge for me personally, when a small group of people have has so much power, influence, and so much resources, history has shown over and over and over again, it doesn't go well, right? It doesn't go. It ended up with bad, right? So we're not talking about 10 years, 20 years. We're talking about 100, if not thousands of years. So I don't think this time is going to be different. So which means, what can we do about it, right? So there's a few things we can do. Unfortunately, we cannot do too much, right? Because we are living in a capitalism society. It's going to keep continue this path. Um, so if you think about what can we do, take example of Bitcoin network, right? So Bitcoin network after financial crisis, in 2008, Bitcoin network was invented. So that network given a really good, I would say, great disruption to financial industry. So with Bitcoin network, I can transfer Bitcoin from one wallet to another, regardless of location, regardless of who you are. You can transfer from point A to point B. There's no borders. At the same time, the entire network running and operating as a decentralized distributed network. So it's kind of like a living and breathing a digital organism. So for the first time in history, we have some sort of a digital infrastructure that no one can shut down, no one can censor that network, but it basically live and breathing by itself, right? So it doesn't matter if you're in India, Philippines, North Korea, or if you are in the moon. It doesn't matter as long as you have internet connection and a laptop or a computer or a phone. So that's the power of decentralized networks. So OpenxAI, we apply the same kind of principle, um, like what Bitcoin applied for money, we apply for AI. So the way it works, if you guys are familiar with IPFS or Filecoin as a protocol, think about Filecoin as a protocol. What is the use case of IPFS or Filecoin? So I want to store, let's say, an image or a file. I can go and store an image on IPFS. Then it attached to some sort of a Web3 wallet or Web3 credential. Once my file is stored, it's going to be immutable. No one can delete that. No one can remove that. And I can also share that with someone else. There will be a public hash that I can share with anybody. So anybody can access that file. So it's kind of like a decentralized, like a file sharing. It's fantastic, right? That's where during the last NFT boom, everybody started using IPFS because it's a decentralized storage. No one can take that immutability away. It's a permanent web. So for OpenxAI, if you just replace, instead of putting an image, if you replace with an AI service or AI agent, so that's how we see. It's basically a permissionless and also immutable AI deployment protocol, right? That's OpenxAI. So in a very high level, if I were to give you guys the difference between permissionless AI and decentralized AI, because we get this quite often. So I see four categories in the AI space. The biggest one is closed source or private AI, things that we use day-to-day basis. That's probably consist of 95% of AI services today, all private and proprietary. We're talking about ChatGPT, we're talking about Grok, we're talking about most of chatbots, most of SaaS products, all private. That's the first category. That's the monopoly today. Second category is open source AI. So open source AI, basically open source software. Anyone can modify, anyone can download, anyone can use it. And then the third category is decentralized AI. So decentralized AI, its only difference compared to open source AI, it has a token, right? So you have a token with the open source software. There's a community. People can use that technology. Permissionless AI is the next evolution of decentralized AI. So what that means, most of decentralized networks and projects that you see probably, if you go to their website, if you're trying to access the actual decentralized AI, you might need to register. You might need to use your email address, and you might need to use like Web2 components a lot in order to access. In contrast, permissionless AI is basically the same principle like Bitcoin and IPFS. There's no KYC, there's no registration required, no email. You could basically connect your wallet, regardless of your location. You can launch your AI services or AI agents without any middleman. Once the AI service is up and running, you can share that URL with anybody else. So anybody can access that service without a middleman. So you as a creator and someone else as a consumer, you and your consumer can do peer-to-peer AI service provisioning and AI service consuming without a middleman. So that is OpenxAI, and that's the definition of permissionless AI.
Wow, that's an amazing take. Actually, like on the early days of the intersection of like Web3 intersecting with AI, there are lots of like narrative that goes out regards to AI being integrated in Web3, but there was no really good narrative or infrastructures that are really being built on top. Most of it is like vaporware or basically like protocol level. Now, with regards to OpenxAI network, when you say OpenxAI network, this is composed of like a protocol level and an infrastructure level, right? And you develop it for quite some time, for 4 years. So, can you explain a bit the difference and how those two are being structured?
Yeah, so you're spot on, right? So we have OpenxAI network and OpenxAI protocol. So easy way to understand OpenxAI network. It's the physical infrastructure layer. We are talking about GPUs, nodes, things that kind of spread across the world, and these things are talking to each other. That's the node. That's the network. And the protocol is kind of a rule book, right? Rule book, how to deploy an app, how to tokenize it. That's basically the middleware and infrastructure, and also the tokenization layer. Because unlike most of Web3 AI projects out there, we provide the full stack, which means we give you all the way from a bare metal GPU all the way to AI infrastructure, backend development, front end development, tokenization, and monetization, all in one. So in other words, if you look at like Sahara AI, or if you look at Fetch AI, we basically combine all of that into one. So you can go to our website, which is openxai.org. And if you click on the right-hand side, there's something called X Studio. So that studio is a gateway for you to launch your AI apps, AI agents, no KYC. You can just click and then deploy. So the difference here, you can use it, you can utilize the network and the protocol in a single interface. There's no KYC, there's no registration required.
Okay, got it. Now, I'm a bit curious, like when we say big players on the AI industry, basically they are on monopoly. Now, we want to somehow like see the overview of how OpenxAI be able to establish sustainability when it comes to infrastructure. Because, like for example, majority of the AI company has a monopoly on buying most of the GPUs, most of the data centers. So how did OpenxAI come to able to challenge it with its infrastructures when it comes to decentralization?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when NVIDIA released the latest GPUs, what big whales they do, they go and snipe the entire supply of all the GPUs. Now, I mean, we can't do anything about it, right? Because these guys have money, these guys have power. So what we are seeing now, we are seeing, because of the boom, because of the success of NVIDIA, so that given a lot of inspiration to all the way from large corporations to medium to even startups to build more, I would say, more innovative, more energy efficient hardware, right? So what we are going to see in the next coming months and coming years, we're going to see more and more hardware manufacturers going to come out from China, from Korea, from Asia, from the United States. What that means, that concentration, currently the monopoly that NVIDIA has, probably will die out. And second, AI application level, like the software, is still kind of like, the way I can give you analogy. So imagine back in the days, you're using, like, you learn how to build a website in 1999, right? That's the experience that people have to when it's come to working with AI. I'm talking about like the backend services, building like AI language, building, really training models and etc. It's still like limited to a small group of people. So what I would say in the coming weeks and coming months, especially coming months, like 2026, most likely, we're going to see a lot more improvements in the software space, because yes, more hardware.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Hi guys, hello. So sorry, we got we got technical issue again because of the current internet connection in Luzon. I think this is not a rug from Twitter Space, but basically the connection. So I guess we can jump on to the last question that I got with you, sir. With regards to the infrastructure, can you continue on that?
Yeah, sure. So I was saying, there will be more hardware will come to the market. At the same time, the software will improve, I would say maybe 10 or 100x in the coming months. So when that happen, AI as a technology has become more widespread, and also it's more it's more customizable, even for someone like someone like living in Philippines or Kenya can be affordable, right? One of the mission for OpenxAI is to do that. Like our cloud computing, if you're paying, let's say, $100 with AWS, you'll be paying $20 with OpenxAI. So it's going to be 80% cheap. So I think what would happen, especially next year, Q3, Q4, we probably will see a lot of innovation in the AI space, software and hardware. So people can provide a lot more better services than this monopoly, like few companies. So it might kind of spread across. The market share will be eaten out by crypto projects eaten out by small startups and medium corporations. So that's my anticipation. So typically, when a technology goes through a hype cycle, this is exactly what would happen.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that, and I think OpenxAI will be part of that forefront with regards to as the tech matures and of course the dissemination of information for everyone and awareness with regards to decentralized AI that exists on the market. Now, I think my next question is this is I think the most exciting part because Base as a blockchain, of course, is really doubling down with regards to distributions to users. How to basically onboard everyone on chain, and they're starting out with their, of course, their everything app, which is basically the Base app. And part of our regional efforts is really, of course, also to bring awareness and the proper onboarding of users, and at the same time create a lot of builders to build applications and apps. So the big question is, why did OpenxAI choose Base? Could you elaborate on this, and also uh, what are exciting things OpenxAI or innovation did OpenxAI breakthrough that could bring in Base?
Sure. So base, with the reason why we choose base, um, because of builders vibe, that's like the most important thing. Because base is putting a lot of tons of resources, bringing like real builders to the ecosystem. Because you see like different chains and different ecosystem have a different vibe. If you go to Solana, it's more like meme coins. If you go to Sui, they have a different type of audience. If you go to BNB, it's different. Since we are builders, we chose base. Like that's like no brainer for us. Um, from a tech point of view, what is our utility with base? If you go to our studio, which is our web-based console, anyone can launch your AI service, AI company, or AI agent without a middleman. So we use base smart contracts to basically build business logic. So let me explain what that means. So let's say I currently in Dubai and I want to start my own chat GPT. So, and then I want to share my own chat GPT with everybody else in the world. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to deploy my chatbot on OpenxAI network. And then instead of charging my customers using credit cards or having like Web2 infrastructure, because if I start an AI company, so what does my journey look like? First of all, I need to build the tech. I need to build the back end. I need to build the front end. I need to register my domain. And then since I'm going to be charging for my customers, I need to integrate some sort of a credit card payment system in order to receive payments from a credit card payment system provider. To me, I need to have a company bank account. In order to have a company bank account, I need to register for a company. In order to have a company, I need to go to my lawyers. So even though I want to start a startup tomorrow, I'm excited, but I cannot operate because I need to have a bank account, company, all sorts of things. So what we do basically, we cut everything. No company, no bank account, no credit card integrations. We purely using base chain for that. So for example, if you want a bank account, have a base wallet so you can actually collect payments from your customers directly to your wallet. You can have multiple wallets to receive multiple things. If your AI app, let's say, has some sort of a business logic, so let's say first 100 questions with your chatbot, you are giving that for free. Anything that beyond 100 questions your users ask with your chatbot needs to pay $2 in USDC or USDT or Ethereum or whatever it is. You can build that logic using base smart contracts. That's the power and that's the technology that we build, right? So in other words, from a technical point of view, we utilize Base for scalable on-chain pipeline of AI tokenization and monetization. That's number one. Number two, Base ultra low fees. It's a fantastic thing because people can do micropayments. So imagine an example of, let's say I use ChatGPT Plus. I pay about $20 per month, US. Now, imagine someone like John started something similar like ChatGPT, but he has a model. Instead of charging $20 per month, he's going to charge based on the usage. So imagine someone comes to John's chatbot and I use it for like, let's say 2 hours. So the payment for 2 hours would be $0.005. Now, you cannot do that with credit cards because they need a minimum spend. With Base, there's a micropayments is viable. Very, very important, right? And the third thing is Base brings Ethereum security, but without that hefty gas fee, which is a really, really important part. And like you said, we see Base app, it's kind of a WeChat of Web3, which means Base is putting tons of resources to showcase the Base is the super app of Web3. So we're excited about it because in the Base app ecosystem, the app is no longer just a wallet, right? You can do social related things. You can have like a forecaster, you can have an app store, you can trade, you can have a wallet, you can download mini apps. There's a huge ecosystem, right? And then Coinbase and Base itself, they've got tons of distribution for us. So I think around 100 million users they already have, and then they've got about 7 million active users. So for us, it's very, very obvious building and integrating with Base. And what we are doing, again, this is just a secret. This is not public yet. This is going to be announcing in month of October. We're going to launch a brand new concept and a new technology. It's called the Base Mini App Factory. So what that means, you go to our studio and you select Base chain and connect your wallet, and you can open up this app called the Base Mini App Factory. Using your natural language, you could type, you don't have to be a developer, right? You could type what kind of a Base Mini App that you want to build, and you click one button, it will deploy the Base Mini App that you create directly into the Base ecosystem, right? During this launch, we're also going to give away so much GPU credit, so people don't have to pay for GPU. So you can basically launch your AI app or AI agent or AI services directly under like 5 minutes, and you can launch directly into the Base ecosystem. The cool thing about this, when you launch, your app has an on-chain record. What happens when you deploy the app? It's going to create an auto staking mechanism. So as long as you deploy the app in your wallet, it's automatically you're going to earn some OpenxAI tokens. So basically, it's like when you deploy apps, you can actually earn tokens. So it's like deploy apps to earn tokens. So we don't have airdrops. We don't have any types of those kind of like spammy type of incentives. All we do is deploy to earn. That's the concept we have. You deploy your app and you can earn tokens. And then we will be doing some cool thing with the Base token, with OpenxAI token together, because we are working with the Base team in San Francisco. They will be flying into Dubai as well. So it'll be quite exciting and interesting things we'll be doing with the Base ecosystem.
Oh, this is so amazing. I mean, basically, literally, having those features, because, like for us as regional ambassador, we've been basically really doubling down on convincing most of our participants, like on base build. The basic concept is really to create your own mini app, and we have like local even events or hackathon to for students to ignite them to really build mini app. And of course, reality, the challenge part is everyone is the barrier of entry is somehow quite difficult to really start if ever you're just more heavy on theoretical and you're not able to apply it in hands on. And we lively check and able to implement it. Of course, we tested it with OpenxAI, do vibe coding, how easy everyone can basically build their own apps, and of course mini app at the same time. And with the product that you mentioned, that would definitely elevate what we're doing, because there's a whole package in there, like even the incentive mechanism on build, I mean, earn to deploy. That's that's quite an amazing. That would basically populate the base app eventually. And I would
Deploy
like
to earn.
to, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, agree.
I think there's three things. If you're running an ecosystem, like I've done this, like I've been through that journey before, right? Like back in the days, I had to build a community for Phantom. I had to build a community for Ethereum. So, like what I've learned when it's come to like bringing people, because we people have a lot of choices today, right? So everybody's busy. They have so many things going on in their personal lives. So until the project or the technology become like a really really wide adopted thing, you have to somehow help the users to navigate. So there's three things I found. One is of course the viability. If 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 the user has a significant barrier to entry, for example they have to pay for things, or they have to learn a new things, or they have to go through a lengthy process, so that's kind of entry, barrier to entry. Second thing is, this is very important, is having a support network. Because people want to feel they are belonged to each other. They need to feel they're valued and appreciated and connected, because a lot of people are sitting often in their bedrooms, scrolling through social media. They're not really inspired. But when they're part of a community, then they have a little bit competition, they have like some inspiration, some guidance. People love to work together and also like feel that they're part of a community, even though they are not physically meeting each other, but at least from a virtual point of view, at least they have that feeling. The third thing I've seen with these type of ecosystems, a lot of people need to know what is a long-term journey, right? So what is in it for me or to my ecosystem long term, if I commit 6 months, 12 months. So especially if people can see clear, like a career path or some sort of a clear professional growth. It could be personal or professional, it doesn't matter. If people see those paths, and if the people can actually see tangibly what they can do in 6 months later, 3 months later, if I join, for example, Philippine base, right? What is the program for me to go from 0 to 1? As long as the clarity is there, as long as the support and incentive and cutting all the barriers, it would be much easier to bring a lot of good talent in a rapid speed.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's really hard to navigate and manage community from grassroots, and that's part really of our challenge on a daily thing that we're doing with our community. And the good thing, of course, there are projects that collaborates like OpenxAI and Base that eventually would really elevate and accelerate our ways on how we really onboard and maximize and increase our community participation, most especially here in the Philippines, that we want to really increase participation for the global aspect also, that we become participants of some major hackathons like that. And also, so we're really diving in and doubling down for community growth with regards to like base programs. So now I think we are down to the last and interesting part. But before that, I was just curious. I mean, you mentioned about OpenxAI just release their own token, if are there any trajectory? What's basically the use case you mentioned already? The deploy to earn. This is basically like the governance token for the whole OpenxAI network, like that, or are there other plans for this?
So I have to give you some maybe secret information because we're going to be sharing all of this in October. But I'll give you some hints, okay? So first one is obviously OpenxAI token can be used to pay for your compute and GPU, kind of like paying for your gas. So the difference is, so when we work with large data centers, like we work with one of the largest data centers in the planet, like Equinix, High Velocity, Volta, even NVIDIA. These are the biggest players. All these players, they've got tons of GPUs and CPUs and compute. Now what we did, we partner up with them, and since we've been building this relationship for a long time and building tech for a long time, we are getting significant discounts from these GPUs and servers. So when we, let's say you as a customer, let's say you don't go to OpenxAI, you go to the supplier directly, like for example Equinix or NVIDIA directly. If you go to them, if you spend $100, you might be getting, let's say, one machine for, let's say, 2 hours. With us, you can get the same, but it's a lot more cheaper. So there is a arbitrage in terms of price arbitrage. What we do, if you happen to have OpenxAI token, you can get that arbitrage directly. So for example, if you have to pay $100 worth of your compute bill, and if you happen to pay using OpenxAI token, what happens, we will automatically give you like 20-30% discount straight away. So if you're spending $100 and if you pay using OpenxAI token, then you are basically paying $70 worth. So that's number one. So you basically get a significant discount having the tokens with you. Second, so this is at the moment obviously is not public. So we have a concept called tGPU. It's called tokenized GPU. I cannot go into more details. So this is a very exciting technology that we built. High level, if you look at GPUs today, GPUs are kind of like, if you think about what does a GPU look like, most people just think GPU kind of like a piece of a computer, or a server sitting on a data center, or you have a GPU on your, like a desktop computer, right? It look clunky, it look like a hardware thing. What we do, we basically have we build a technology where you can actually tokenize your GPU. So all of a sudden, instead of sitting in a warehouses or in on your bedroom, all of a sudden you're making your GPU liquid. So you can transfer to someone, you can speculate on it, you can trade it, you can do tons of things. Especially programmability, composability, it will enable all of a sudden. So it's kind of like a DeFi into the GPU market and compute market. So we building that. So what happens with the token when you have, so these GPUs, in order for you to create the tokenized GPU, you need to have OpenxAI token. That's the main token that you need to have. So in order for you to mint these tokenized GPU, you need to put up some OpenxAI token as a collateral, right? As a proof of reserve. Let's call it that, because I cannot tell you too much. So all of a sudden, then the users they can rent out a GPU. You pay like $100. If you have OpenxAI token, you pay $70. Then you put up some OpenxAI token, and all of a sudden you can actually start minting some tokenized GPU. These are ERC20s. Then you can speculate, you can trade, you can stake it. There's a bit of a DeFi flavor going to come into that. So I cannot tell you a lot, but it's going to be one of the interesting thing in the space, because we don't have tokenized compute today in Web3. There's none. So it's going to be a very interesting concept, because when you look at financial markets, we have financial markets for equity markets, we have financial markets for currency, which is forex. We have financial markets for crypto, which is crypto market. People can trade on crypto. Uh, People are trading on cryptocurrencies. We have energy markets. We have insurance markets. We have coffee markets. We've got all the financial markets for all the industries, but we don't have financial market for GPUs and compute. So OpenxAI enable that. So there's a direct correlation between OpenxAI token with that, how people can create these tokenized GPU. And the last thing, as a utility for the token, we have something called a burn to vote mechanism. So people will be burning tokens to actually vote for things without DAO. And then there are 2 or 3 things which I cannot tell you now.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for sharing. Those are basically alpha being put in advance to us. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think this is really amazing because, you mentioned about tokenization and replicating what happened to DeFi. This could basically blow out in the sense of how, like, become composable to whatever financial instrument, tokenizing GPUs like that. So this is good attributes what OpenAI is doing at the same time. So I think for my last question really is about uh, what really excites you about OpenxAI's next journey, and most especially you've been really close tying up to base as a distribution layer also, and possible opportunities or outcome that might benefit also the Philippine community who are basically aligning also for OpenxAI and base.
Okay, so I think there's 3 questions there. What we can do with base Philippine community, please talk to John, and we're happy to give you like these tokenized GPU credit for you guys. Like we run tons of developer workshops. Join, and you can definitely get some value out of it. We do have some programs are running, hackathons are running. There's tons of things we do. So you can definitely in contact with us. You can email me if you have anything. My email is ashton.h@openxai.org. So that's my email. So what excites me the most in the industry? So I think like our industry, there's 2 things I could say. One, obviously, this is more philosophical. I think building more networks or decentralized or distributed ledger technologies to any industry, whether it's AI industry, DeFi industry, or in consensus as a service industry, whatever the industry that you're looking at. As long as you can disrupt the industry and kind of eliminate the centralization. So I'm always up for that, because I think that's a democracy, right? So supporting democracy it's excites me, because using technology innovation, disrupting these big boys, and building something for the little man or the little guy, it excites me more personally. Short term, I think we have a really good plan with Base. We're seeing a good growth with the Base ecosystem. Beyond Base, we will be working with BNB and Solana in the coming weeks and coming months. So we're going to be doing a very cool experiment called cross-chain AI monetization and AI tokenization. So what that look like? So for example, if you happen to have, let's say you identify a market for your AI, you as a builder, let's say you have identified a good market. So that market happened to be in Solana as an example. So let's say you're building a chatbot for Solana. I don't know, whatever Solana things happening now, let's say pump.fund or whatever. you're building an app there. So you deploy the app on Solana, you got a token contract there, but the entire because you may not trust the Solana ecosystem for, let's say, keeping your funds or paying for GPU. What you do is you maintain everything on Base. For example, you have your wallets on Base, you have your compute, you have your infrastructure, compute infrastructure, all on Base. However, your app is in Solana. So because of this cross-chain capabilities, you as a builder, you can actually you can choose the distribution on one chain, and you can choose the payments on one chain. You can choose let's say the hosting and maybe securing your applications and infrastructure on another chain. So the cross-chain capabilities and cross-chain flexibility will spark, I would say, new new generation of developers and builders, because this is very, very sexy that don't exist today. So inventing new use cases and new industries in Web3 and building new narrative will be very, very exciting to explore in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that's quite really exciting. Putting like an AI Lego on cross-chain aspect. Amazing. So I think we're down to our last question. If ever some of our attendees here, do you have any question? You could raise your hand, or I'll give you an invite if you have some questions. I think Base Philippines is giving a bit, giving some incentives for uh, 2 to 3 questions if anyone have. Okay, I think they're all good. So I think again, thank you so much for giving us time, Sir Ashton. We learned a lot about how OpenxAI, and of course, exciting part is the collaboration with Base, which we belong, and most of the Base community are really trying to work on for mass adoptions and onboarding users and developers and builders to the industry. So I think along with OpenxAI, we can basically, and very optimistic to accelerate this. Uh, Basically on my local also, which is in Mindanao, I'm excited on this. So looking forward for like more opportunities that might happen. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much, guys, for attending.
Thank you, guys.
Bye for now.